One of the things that helps make simple churches more like rabbits than elephants is that there's an expectation that every person will be part of two churches or connected with two churches at a time. The first of these is their spiritual home, their spiritual family. So that's represented by this triangle. And you'll see in this triangle there are two circles, two squares, two X's, and two stars. So these represent 4 couples that are in that church. And they'll also, potentially have a bunch of children where they're not in this picture. This is just looking at the adults. And so that's their spiritual family. And they will remain part of that spiritual family. But if they lead someone to Christ, rather than adding them to their church, they will help that person reach out to their friends and family and start a new church, a new spiritual family. Or if there's a Christian who comes and they see what's going on and they say, wow, I would love to join your church. Can I join your church? Generally, they'll say, no, sorry, you can't. But I would love to help you start a church like this. And so in either case, whether it's helping a new Christian start a new church or helping an existing Christian start a new church, a new church is being formed. And so one of these couples, say the X's, they will go out and they will assist, they will model and assist for this new church to start. And so they're modeling and assisting. You notice that they're drawn outside that new church. They're not members of it. They're not part of it, but they're modeling and assisting them on a temporary basis. Then, at the same time, you also have the circles and the squares and the stars doing this same thing. So this one church is birthing potentially 4 churches at a time. And as they're finishing the model and assist phase, one of the things they're assisting them to do is to start subsequent generation churches, next generation churches. And when that starts to happen, then the X's will stop the model and assist phase. They will then begin to watch that church that they have been modeling and assisting. And then the X's will go out and repeat the process, modeling and assisting for another new church. And then after they do that, they'll add that second church to their watch list, and they'll go out and do the same process again. So generally you're modeling and assisting for one church at a time, but you can be watching multiple churches at a time. This is because the modeling and assisting is a far more intensive, hands-on process. It requires some, personal, active attention, whereas the watch phase is less hands-on, less direct, less frequent, less intense, so you can watch multiple churches at a time. So then you have the churches that are in the watch phase. They are already reproducing and modeling and assisting for those new churches. And then once those new churches enter the watch phase, they will also, the next generation churches will also be planting new churches, so that you're constantly multiplying these churches. You can see how this is like a rabbit, having multiple churches at a time, having a short timeline to do so. For example, I like to aim for 3 months for the model and assist phase. That model and assist phase is essentially a spiritual generation for the new church plants. So I'm aiming for an average reproduction cycle of 3 months. Now, this doesn't happen regularly. You know, there's churches that die. There are churches that don't reproduce. There are churches that reproduce more slowly. But I like to aim for 3 months. So by the end of that 3 months, they already need to be involved in planting another new church. That's my goal. So if every disciple is constantly part of 2 churches, one, their primary spiritual family, and one that they're modeling or assisting, that leads to rapid multiplication.